Whoa, answers with gas. Hey, everybody. Welcome. What's up? This is Answers by Gas, Season 7, Week 7. Check out the Answers with Gas halftime adjustments. Those of you that are here, welcome. Craig, Mikey, I see you. We are Fantasy Football's inside scoop from outside the box. Please remember to like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, and now podcasting on Spotify. Thanks, Rob. When you post, and some of you are doing that, Mikey, I see you doing that quite a bit. Hashtag Answers by Guest, hashtag ABGFF, and hashtag ABG3P. So a couple things going on. I figured out that we could do like background music. So I'm going to rock with just a little bit of background music when I talk. Why not? Why not? It was a good week 7. We had the bounce back. This week was essentially the quintessential epitome of, and if this music's annoying you, tell me, because it's kind of annoying me. But this was the epitome of the ebbs and flows. Week 6, we were low. Everybody, not a lot of scoring. And this week we had a good amount of scoring. And what more can you ask for in a week of Bye-Mageddon, where we had 6 teams on a bye? Now we're coming up to week 8. I can't take the music. I thought I would do it, but I can't. Now we're coming up to a week where nobody's on a bye. So quite strange, but it is what it is. And we're going to get right into this. And I got to just switch around some things. Rob's got all sorts of different things here. And I don't know, maybe this one will work. Yeah, it looks pretty good to me. Week 7, Answers by Guess. Let's talk about it. ABG3P, we were 18-6. That's what I'm talking about. Those of you joining us for the first time, you don't know what ABG3P is. It's our main weekly show. Rob comes up with different props or totals. Could be fantasy related, could be gambling related, and I give the over under yes or no's, and had a pretty good week. That's 75% for those of you that are keeping track at home. Best week yet. Let's hope we keep it going. We are halfway through the season. This one gets good. A couple things going on. Week 8, we're going to get to see Malik Willis. We saw him last year, I believe. Didn't look too good. Preseason looked okay. Last week, 2 weeks ago, when he had to come in for Ryan Tannehill, wasn't great, but I'm excited to see it. Hopefully it helps the offense. Hopefully the bye week got him a bit more acclimated. And hopefully Tannehill doesn't make a speedy recovery, even though I'm rooting for him to do so. I want to see Malik Willis. I want to see what this offense can look like with him, because I think that we can throw away his rookie year. This was a week of some craziness. I liked the Vikings quite a lot last night. They fell into that in between +6, +10 home dog. That hits at a pretty high rate. They handed it to those Niners, and I did not come up with this, but I've heard it around. The San Francisco fraudy Niners. 2 losses in a row. We'll talk more about Purdy when we get to it. This guy. I know that we had at least one person that could have played Foreman last week. We went with somebody else who did not do poorly at all by any means. But this is the ebb and flow situation. And on a week like last week with so many teams on bye, so many injuries, chances are you probably kept Foreman in your lineup even after the relatively lackluster week 6. And if you did so, you were rewarded. And that sort of sets the tone for our top 10. Number 10, Matt LaFleur. He's got to go. He's got to go. As a Green Bay Packers fan, I loved him when we first got him. Anything was better than Mike McCarthy. But he couldn't win with the most accurate quarterback of all time, Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to be able to win with one of the most, if not the most, inaccurate quarterback of 2023, Jordan Love. He's got to go. They're not going to just get rid of Love, obviously. They're going to let him play at least this year, next year, before they draft somebody. And he might get better. The play calling's just terrible. It's terrible. And why is this on a fantasy show? Because they have fantasy-worthy players that are struggling because of this. Aaron Jones is coming back from the injury, but to have him out-touched 2-1 by Dillon in a game where they needed some explosive playmaking against the Denver Broncos, they get shut out in the first half. Unacceptable. Christian Watson hurt again. He's that guy that had those 4 games last year, and everybody loved him. But Dubs is the guy, and they're not giving Dubs the ball enough. Yet Dubs should have had 2 touchdowns last week, but Jordan Love threw it behind him. It bounced off his hand, and that's where the Jaden Reed touchdown comes in. Love's a problem. LaFleur has to go. The offense is stumbling. Number 9, dead on those who cannot be dead on. Love, I just talked about, and Purdy. I talked about it for weeks, his inaccuracy. It was on primetime full display last night against the Vikings. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from him. He's played 10 games his career. He's 8-2 at this point in the regular season. I'm talking about just regular season games. He's got a ton of weapons around him. He's got the best player in the league, offensive player, Christian McCaffrey. And he played last night. He got 2 touchdowns. He was fine. But some of these throws that he makes are just wildly inaccurate. So we can't anoint him the best, but he's better than Love. He's better than probably a few others. But I said that these 2 were horribly inaccurate early in the season. And this week it showed quite glaringly, both. Sometimes the best move is nothing. Sort of like what I talked about going from week 6 to week 7. Ebbs and flows. This is what we talk about. If you're somebody's out there confused at all about what we've been saying for the past 7 years, fantasy football and just football in general, ebbs and flows. I mean, Puka had his worst game in week 6 of the season. People probably put him on the bench this week. What does he do? Bounces back with his best game of the season. Amari DiMercato. People were playing him last week. I said it was probably going to be Keontae Ingram, but then early before the games, Keontae Ingram's inactive. And what does DiMercato do? Murder it. And we talked about Deontay Foreman in the beginning. Sometimes the best move is nothing. And this is key because tonight is waiver wire night, right? And everybody feels like, oh, I got to go, I got to move, I got to pick them up, I got to do this. Sometimes just do nothing. I talked about it earlier in the season. I think it was after week 1. And I told you, people say, who should I go after? I said, wait and see who people drop. Because sometimes people can't help themselves. They want to get the new shiny thing. They want to get whoever did good this week. Maybe somebody dropped DiMercato last week, and now he did good this week. Same thing with Foreman. Maybe you're in a shallow league, and they did that with Puka. That's what you want to see is, did they drop any of these guys? This is what you want to wait for. Let yourself move up that waiver list and see who gets dropped. And now you have a better shot at picking up somebody else's trash that should not have been. And sometimes the best move is nothing with your lineup. Sometimes a guy has a poop week. Puka last week, week 6. And we want to take him out of our lineup. Just keep him in. Sometimes the best move is nothing. We have to help ourselves sometimes, and sometimes we can't help ourselves. Here come the rookies. wide receivers anyway, the road to being a rated rookie. I mean, Addison, Downs came through this week. The wide receivers are coming on for rookies. Running backs we'll talk about in a minute. But Addison's long gone. Downs should be long gone. But if he's not, I think that he is somebody, probably the only person that might be on a waiver wire in a 12-team league that you should maybe go after instead of waiting. Because this team's going to be trailing the Colts. Minshew has flashes of good, flashes of bad. I said I felt like Minshew was going to have a much better week. He did, but then he made some bonehead moves. I said the defense was going to look good. They did, and then they made some bonehead plays. They ended up losing to the Browns. But for the Colts, Josh Downs is going to be somebody that you can probably scoop up this week if he's not already taken, which he should be. And it's trade week. Ladies and gentlemen, it is trade week. It is here. It is upon us 1 week from today. Actually, a little bit less. I think 4 p.m. Eastern. So 5 hours and 16 minutes minus 7 times 24 minus that. I mean, this is it. This is where teams, maybe they wait until Monday. Maybe they wait until Tuesday morning. But those players that that might be traded, that we've talked about. This is where if you have somebody on your bench that you think I could get rid of this guy, and a Terrace Marshall or even a Jerry Jeudy or someone hits the waiver wire, yeah, they haven't been good. But if they go to a new team, they might be. It might be. So just keep your eyes on those. Improved QB play for most in week 7 was nice to see. Kenny Pickett looked much better. Deontay Johnson had a lot to do with that. Baker continues playing strong, and Tyson Bagent. So in a year similar to last season where we talked about how quarterbacks, you wanted the best ones because otherwise you were screwed. Yeah, I had my highest scoring week of the week this week in my most important league of the year this week. Kenny Pickett was my quarterback because it was him, and I had Fields I was running with. Most of you know that. So you do just fine. One player is not going to kill your team. Having no quarterback kills it more than most. But this improved QB play is good for all of us, especially with another Bye-Mageddon coming up a few weeks from now. CMC is still your league winner, even on relatively limited snaps. I mean, Jordan Mason, we talked about him leading up. Last week I was on the show talking about Jordan Mason. Saturday, Rob and I talked about him, but I told all of you that were asking about Jordan Mason. I said, Elijah Mitchell might end up taking some of his thunder. But on top of that, you need to listen because CMC might play. And CMC played, and we got that information. I mean, on Sunday, it was kind of clear. By Monday, we knew he was playing. And Jordan Mason didn't even see the field. Elijah Mitchell had, I think, 1 run for -1 yards. So CMC's your league winner. I'm flying in and out here. I don't know if I'm going offline or what. But number 3, Keaton Mitchell in for 1 play. He looked great. Caught a pass, juked a couple people, got 9 yards, and he got injured. Coach says he's week to week, but then went on to say, he probably could play next week, which makes no sense. If you need to drop him for somebody else, go ahead, because the other 2 guys are healthy. Still like him for the long term. They want to get him involved. But if he can't play more than 1 play. Number 2, the rookie and the backup RBs remain an issue. We won't even talk about Bijan, but look at these guys. I mean, all these guys we had promised. Roschon's probably going to play this week, but now that Foreman killed it, how much is he even going to get? He had a chance to do what Foreman did times 2, I think, over these past 2 weeks. And he had a 2+ week concussion that I never even saw. It is what it is. And no buys this week I talked about. Really weird, NFL. Really weird. We're going to have 2 teams off. We're going to have 6 teams off. We're going to have no teams off. We're going to have 2 teams off. We're going to have 4 teams off. We're going to have no teams off. We're going to have 6 teams off. I don't make the schedules. I'm sure it's difficult. Kind of ridiculous. 5 guys for your eyes. These are just some of the guys from the season. I threw Malik Willis on there because I'm putting it into the world that he's going to have a good week. So I'm jumping the gun a little bit. But one guy on here that I sort of want to look at is Dalton Kincaid. Dawson Knox is injured, and he had his best game of the year last week. And he's got a Thursday matchup. I think he could have a pretty solid game going against the Bucks. So if you're in tight end trouble, I think Dalton Kincaid, if somebody threw him away, he's worth scooping for sure. Trey McBride down there, we're always worried about tight ends. I've been talking about him for weeks. They came out today and said what I've been saying was going to happen, that he's going to have an increased role. They're probably going to trade Zach Ertz. So he's somebody that you want to be looking at. I love to see Juwan Jennings last night finally coming through. If you've been watching the show for any of the past couple of years, you know that I love him. Josh Downs is on that list. These are guys that we pretty much gave you over the summer that would have some sort of impact that you had to have your eyes on. Here's the ones for this week. So Pierre Strong comes in at number 5. Simply because we kind of talked about him before. Rob gave Kareem Hunt as a Rob bonus. He gave Jerome Ford as a Rob bonus. Kareem Hunt was on the team. And I said, I kind of feel like Pierre Strong's going to be that number 2 to Chubb. Well, now that Ford's hurt, I think it's going to be Hunt and Strong. And now I'm off the screen, but I'm going to keep talking. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm back. I think Pierre Strong might end up being the first and second down guy for some reason. Trey Tucker, I gave you, and Jalen Naylor, I gave you on Saturday. Naylor did not play. He's still inactive. They didn't activate him, but Trey Tucker got 2 receptions last week. And if Jimmy G comes back, he's going to become a name that everybody's talking about for the Raiders. You heard it here before week 7. I guarantee you that by week 10, people are going to be saying, pick up Trey Tucker. Demario Douglas looks like the best wide receiver for the Patriots. I'm sure he's out there. And the number 1 is the most important. This is the theme of the show. Sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. Keep your eyes on your roster. For the most part, unless you are 0-7 at this point, you like the guys you have. You drafted the guys you have. I mean, 2-5 is still alive. 1-6, you got some work to do. But don't just feel like you have to make a move just to make a move, especially tonight. Because a lot of the guys that are likely available, I mean, we've been talking about them for weeks. And a lot of the guys that Rob showed me this Texas guy from TikTok. He's like, this guy has 200,000 followers. And he's talking about guys that you were talking about weeks ago. He's like, I don't understand it. How do we have 300 people that are part of our group on Facebook? We have like 3 people that subscribe to us on YouTube. And we're giving you guys in week 4 that people are now talking about going into week 8. So if you've been watching and paying attention to the show, don't give up on your roster. You rostered them for a reason. Now, there's some bums you could get rid of for sure. But the most important thing, a guy for your eyes, a guy that you have, because it's the grass isn't always greener mentality. I mean, to wrap it all up. Questions from the group. We had 2. Then I'll get to the live questions. Leon wants to know, for the show, this is the show. Puka, Adams, Addison, pick 2. He's starting Chase. Yeah, to be honest, I'm going to go with Puka and Addison, I think. But you're correct that if Jimmy G plays, maybe you roll with Adams. The only thing you got going with Adams is Monday Night Magic. But Detroit's going to be pissed off. And Detroit's at home. And the defense has been good. And if it's not Jimmy G, unless we get word of that, and I think you just keep rolling with Addison and Puka. Let's ask this question again, Leon. For the Friday show, we're going to do it Friday this week. Rob has something going on Saturday, so it's going to be a Friday night show. That's the first time I'll mention it. I'll mention it again and again. But let's do that Friday. But as of right now, and I'm gone again, but I'm going to keep talking. I'm going Puka and Addison, just because the quarterback situation for Oakland just has me sort of. You saw they couldn't even do anything against the Bears last week. And Jeremy wants to know the Bills or the Colts. Do you? Will the Bills play on Thursday and the Colts play on Sunday? The Colts are at home against the Saints. The Bills are at home against the Bucks. You know what? I'm going to go with the Colts. Jeremy, I know the Thursday game's good. The Bills are coming off a loss. It might be a little angry, but a loss on a short week sometimes. I just think the Bucks offense right now is a little bit better than the Saints offense. The smart play is the Bills, but Jeremy, I think I'm going to go with the Colts. I feel like Baker can put a good game together. He's usually pretty good in prime time. So that's why I'm going to go with the Colts. You go with your gut, dude. And let's get rid of this. And we can pop me up here. Let's see what we got in the live stuff. Alrighty. Dave Craig wants to know Jets versus Giants. Stay away. I don't really know. The Giants, 2 weeks in a row, played really good defense. And the defense essentially was supposed to be good, right? Isaiah Simmons, I believe, was who they got in the preseason. And they finally look like they're getting together. And Tyrod Taylor is playing better than Daniel Jones ever did all season. And Jalen Hyatt's starting to get involved. Wandale has solidified himself as a bona fide possession wide receiver one for the team. Saquon looked good last week. And for the Jets, Zach, my man, has not been terrible. But the Giants are not world beater defense. And the Jets defense, I think, is a world beater. So if you have studs and you don't have any better options, I'm fine keeping Wilson and I'm talking Garrett, and keeping Breece Hall in my lineup. I'm fine with that. And I'm fine with Saquon, obviously. And if you have to play Wandale or Hyatt, and Mikey Nicolato, hopefully I pronounced it one of those ways correctly, we dogged on, what's his face? Darren Waller, but he's actually the past 4 weeks been doing pretty good, and he had a really good game against Washington. So I don't think that we need to necessarily stay away. You got to play your options, though, Dave. I'm not sure who Aaron is, but I'm sorry, he's killing you. Would you use the top waiver wire position to pick up Gus Edwards? You have Pacheco, Josh Jacobs, Zach Moss. See, I told you, Craig, you should have tried to trade for Aaron Jones. But Zach Moss is going to get traded, hopefully. And he's still got a little bit of value. He just didn't get the touchdowns last week. Jonathan Taylor got it. Yeah, I don't hate it. Who are you dropping? That's what it's always about. Everybody knows that's watched the show for any of the past 7 seasons. I'm fine with picking up whoever, I guess. I mean, there's some guys that I absolutely avoid. Gus Edwards is not one of them. I'm fine with picking them up if you're not dropping anything that you need or of value. I'm gone again, but I'm going to keep talking because sooner or later I'll pop back up. It never ends. Buy low on James Conner and Kyren. Kyren, possibly. I'm not a James Conner dude. I was before his breakout season, his second season after his rookie year. He had, I don't know if it was leukemia or something that kept him out of his first season. And I said, I like this James Conner kid for Pittsburgh. The second year, he's back. He's healthy. That he had a killer season. After that, I was just like, I'm kind of done with him. And he's been doing fine. But Alan, the moment I say, buy low on James Conner, you know what he's going to do? Nada. Because if it's a guy I don't like and I recommend him, never works out. So it depends on what you're giving up. on both of these guys. Kyren, you're going to have to wait 4 more weeks because there's 3 more games and a bye week. So if you're picking up Kyren, it's like the IR stint didn't even start yet. Still 4 weeks. All rookie wide receivers. Yeah, he's the only one. And that's why I told everybody, don't even forget him. Just forget about him. He does the same thing. He actually had a catch last week. He actually had a target relatively early on. Here I go. I'm gone again. But they never went back to him. He just sprints down the field. Sometimes he crosses over the middle. They're using him wrong. They're using him poorly. That whole offense, I sort of wanted to talk about the Chargers. Like, we nailed it. We said when Eckler plays, Kelly's going to have a good game. And lo and behold, he had the big touchdown. And they throw to 2 players on offense, sometimes Everett and a random guy every once in a while. I thought that they would be great with the Dallas offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore there. But sums up, they are the snake-bitten team that can never really get it done. They're not using Quentin Johnston well. And Quentin Johnston, maybe he's just not that good. There are wide receivers that get drafted early that aren't good. It happens all the time. So it's possible. We're not going to give up on him after this year, maybe give him another shot, but I'm not messing with him at all this year. But you're right. He's the only one. Puka and Kittle, no, I would not do that. I would not do that at all, Craig. No, I would not. Kelsey is injured. I think he's playing still. I'm so annoyed that I keep going off the screen. Can you guys hear me still when I'm talking, even though my picture's not there? I would not do that. I'm a Kelsey owner in 2 of my 6 leagues. One is a dynasty. The other is not. And, like, I shouldn't even say this because some of the guys that I play with in dynasty might be watching or watch eventually. And I'm like almost at the point where I kind of want to trade him. Like, he's helping my team greatly, but something just seems a little off. He's slow. It reminds me almost like when Gronk started to wind down. He just doesn't have that same burst. Now, yeah, he's coming off that injury, but he's old. And sooner or later, it's going to... Craig, if I were you, and I shouldn't even be telling you this, but I'm going to say it because I'm here for the people. If I were you, I'd be looking for an extra spot on my bench and seeing if I got somebody there I don't really want. I'd be picking up Noah Gray and just stash Noah Gray on the bench because if Kelsey goes down, you have Kelsey with Noah Gray. It's the same exact dude, just 10 years younger. I would not give up Puka and Kittle. I'd be fine with Puka and Kittle. Craig, did you not see one of my things on my thing? On the 5 guys for your eyes, number 1, who should you be keeping your eyes on? Your roster. Don't be making a move just to make a move. I know you're a Chiefs guy because your son loves the Chiefs and you love the Chiefs. I don't think you need it. I think I'd keep Puka and Kittle. I think that those 2 are just fine for your team. Your team's doing well. But you go with gut. Do you? That's just my advice. Should we actually care about Bagent at this point? No. Probably not. You probably should not. But he looked okay. And there I go again. He looked okay. He had the best rookie debut, I think, out of a pretty impressive list of rookies. He had the most yards and the highest rating. So, I mean, it didn't look bad, but no. Should we not care about him? No. You give him another week or 2. Fields is probably going to come back. If Fields sucks, they'll go to Bagent, and then we know, okay, Chicago's done with Fields. Bagent is the future. But there's other options out there that I don't think you really need to worry about it at this point. I think their bye week is week 13, which is a ways away. But unless you are dying at quarterback, I don't think that you really need to care, but you can certainly keep an eye on them. Nicky Will, I'm not sure what you're doing. I don't know if you're a boy or a girl, but you put some sort of link on here, and I'm just not going to put it on the screen because I don't know what it is. But thank you. Ebbs and flows. That's it. I mean, that's it. It's the NFL in a nutshell. I'm a poet and I know it. It's how it goes. A team is terrible one week, they bounce back, and usually that's how it goes. Not every time. Not every time, because you look at San Francisco. Right? They weren't terrible, but they lost, and you would think, oh, they're going to bounce back. But maybe the Vikings are the ones that bounce back. So it's not an exact science, but it's how it goes. Keep your eyes on your team. Keep your eyes on your players. If they have a down week and you've been starting them, chances are you probably want to just keep them in your lineup, because the moment you take them out is the moment they blow up. And then you're like, what the hell? I played him last week. He got 3 points. And now I play him this week. And I put him on the bench. He's got 24. Well, that's the way the NFL goes. Yeah, exactly my point, Mikey. Don't do it, Craig. Don't do it. I don't think you need to do it. I get it. Kelsey can have weeks where you can score 20 to 30 almost every week. But you don't need to do it. You don't need to do it. Kelsey goes down. Now you're down a wide receiver and a tight end. Just keep what you got. You're good. And your waiver wire has some good tight ends on it. Would you drop Cam Akers, Algier? And Algier was another one. And that's what I talked about. Like, yeah, Bijan just had a headache, so he didn't play. He couldn't play. I mean, I couldn't be getting hit in the head and running into people if I got a really bad headache. I get it. It must have been so bad. Maybe there's more to it. I thought it was going to be like he was being disciplined, but I guess it's not. But that's why a couple of people said over the past couple of weeks, should I drop? I think Josue was one of them. Should I drop Tyler Algier? And I was just like, he's a gold mine if anything happens to Bijan, and you need to be sure that you're picking up something that you're going to use. And so the same thing's going to be here. Jamal Williams just came back. I know he had a down week. He's somebody that I might be looking to grab. I don't know. But they have so many running backs there. Kamara's doing his thing. Should you drop one of them for Herbert to start week 11? I mean, if Herbert does in fact come back week 11, which he should, I guess you can drop one of them, put Herbert on IR. Hopefully you have IR. Maybe you only have one, and that's where Kyron is. Akers looked like he got more involved last night, and he looked pretty good, ripped off a couple nice runs. We saw what Algier is going to do if anything were to happen to Bijan. Bijan's going to come back in full force this week. But those of you out there, you might be able to get Bijan cheap this week if you're looking to make a trade, because people might be pissed. People that don't know what's going on and they're just looking at scores and they're probably like, this guy got me 3 yards last week. You might be able to scoop him from a casual. I'm just saying, give it a shot. Why not? Nobody that's watching this show would give him up, but you might. So give it a try. Jamal Williams probably would be who I would drop out of these guys. I know that the Cam Akers thing, he is what he is, though, and Madison hasn't been great, and I think they're going to want to use both. I think Jamal Williams would be the safest to jump, but I don't know. I feel like I would just hold on to those three. I don't think anybody's grabbing Khalil Herbert right now. I think you can wait another week at least to grab him. Nobody's grabbing him just yet. Yeah, Jalen Naylor's really good. Yep, and he's really fast. Really fast. Now, they showed off some speed last night, Addison. I mean, really, his fastest run was running away from when he ripped the ball out of dude's hands. But, yeah, Jalen Naylor is really good, and this is second year, and he's been on IR. And I think once they activate him and they get him involved, people are going to like what they see. And he's going to wind up being talked about just like Trey Tucker. I mean, that's what I said last Saturday. I said, these two guys are speed kill guys, Jalen Naylor and Trey Tucker. People are going to start, if not this year, next year, trying to emulate what the Miami Dolphins are doing. They're going to need guys like that. So it's just people to keep your eyes on. And listen, even if I'm giving you a guy, and this is 5 guys for your eyes, remember, it doesn't mean this week, it means the future. This could even be for dynasty leagues just to stash them for next year, or it could be to put a little note in your draft pad for 2024 season, because these are names that people don't really know yet. But if you followed us and you follow anybody else, the people that get paid to do this, we're talking about guys, and a couple weeks later, they're talking about guys. So always a step ahead, inside scoop from outside the box. 3 and 4 in both leagues. That's a great spot to be in. You will. That's all it is. It's stay on course. All you got to do is make the playoffs. You make the playoffs, then you get hot. You just got to stay the course. You got to get that number 6 or better seed. That's it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. It's guys like that sometimes I'm just like, well, with a name like that, I kind of want to just avoid you. But I made that mistake with Terry McLaurin. I don't know why. Terry, for some reason, just seemed like an old white dude. And I was just like, I don't want anything to do with Terry McLaurin. Come to find out, he's pretty good. George Kittle was the same way. George, who the hell names their kid George anymore? Same sort of thing. So maybe John Bobo, maybe he's gonna be something good. He's flashed a little bit, a couple weeks here and there. I'm wondering, is this team ever gonna go to Drew Lock, or is it just gonna be Geno? Just keep going. I don't know. I think that if and when they get rid of Lockett, I think that JSN just sort of fits right in there. Hold on. Let's just get a text. Yeah, never mind. Sorry. So, long term, he's getting on the field. There's worse options. Mikey, Bills or Chiefs? D. I gotta look up, see who the Chiefs are playing. I don't know. Broncos. In Mile High. That one's gonna be tough. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, D. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, D. I just feel like Baker. It's gonna be tough. The Bills Mafia in Buffalo, but he plays well in these primetime games, and he's been playing pretty good football. And I hope I don't jinx him, but I think that he'll be able to do okay against the Bills. I really do. I think they'll use enough Rachaad White. He's got good enough receiving weapons. He got Cade Otton going last week. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs, even though they're on the road. I think maybe the Chiefs Broncos will be a little more lower scoring because the Broncos D is surprisingly tightening up. Yeah, they were playing against terrible play calling and inaccuracies last week with Green Bay, but they've sort of been, playing just a little bit better on defense than what we were used to. I mean, the last time they played against the Chiefs, it was 19-8. So I feel like they are going to, and the Chiefs defense was okay in that game, but I feel like the Denver offense is going to want to slow the ball down. So I'm going to go with Chiefs D. Chiefs D. 2-5 teams still in it. Of course they're still in it. I mean, you could end up being 9-5. It's a pretty good record for fantasy football. You got to go on a run. Probably don't want to get to 2-6, but you're still in it, sure. I mean, look at the standings. If your leagues are anything like mine, you might have a team at the top that's 5-2, and they got a bunch of 4-3 and 3-4s. You just got to get to that 6 seed. You got to get to that 6 seed. Jets D against Giants is they're fine. I don't know. I don't know, because the one thing you have going for Buffalo is a better offense, and sometimes the best defense is a good offense. And I don't know if the Jets D, their offense going to be able to stay on the field long enough. in this case, this week, that's one situation I might go Buffalo, but it's close. Very close. Tyrod Taylor's not great. I would pick up the Jets D and have two defenses if you have somebody that's a bum. I don't know how your defenses score though. Some leagues have defenses that go 6 to 9 points. Some defenses treat them like an actual player, and they can get 15 to 20 on a good week. Oh, Aaron Jones. Yeah, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. They had him on a snap count. So I would not be too mad at him. That's the thing, Corey. The question is way too general because everybody's league is different. The guys that anybody who gets paid that is doing this and talking about waiver wires that they're putting out to pick up in just about every league I play in, they've been owned for weeks. But Josh Downs is somebody who I would actually go after this week. I think Darrell Henderson, if nobody picked him up last week, is worth a shot because clearly they like him. They played him purposefully over Cam Akers, whether it was his ability to do well or his personality clashing with Sean McVay, and he did just fine. And now he's back on the team and he had a pretty solid week. Those are guys that did somebody throw DeMarcado back? Because obviously something happened with Keontae Ingram where they were like, we're going to inactivate you this week. They didn't like what they saw from him, but I thought he looked pretty good in week 6. My advice, Corey, maybe you're just joining us and you didn't catch the beginning of the show this week, because like I said, so many of the guys that might be on waiver wires that popped this week, I've already told people or suggested, and in the leagues I play in, they've already been rostered. My advice is to see who are the people that can't control themselves and have to pick somebody up just because it's waiver wire Tuesday/Wednesday. Who are they going to drop? Because I have a feeling that after tonight, you're going to wake up on Wednesday in your league, and some people are going, someone, maybe not everybody, but someone is going to drop someone that they should not have dropped for whatever reason, a down week or the flashy, shiny new player from week 7. They're chasing those points and they want to go get him. And they drop somebody who they might have drafted. Or, I mean, little outlandish, but like somebody might be dropping Calvin Ridley because he's just been poop. He's had week 1 was good, another good week, I think maybe week 4, but he might be way too high of an extreme. But it's stuff like that is going to happen. Maybe not in your league, but in a lot of leagues this week. Stuff like that's going to happen. Somebody flashed that's been on the waiver wire that shouldn't have been, or maybe it was a one-time thing, and they're going to be like, well, this guy's been doing nothing. Goodbye. I'm going to get the new toy. My advice, my thing that I'm doing tonight, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for somebody to drop something that they shouldn't. And I'm going to move up the waiver list. And then when they pass waivers, I got them. That's what I'm doing tonight. Stroud coming back off the bye. I believe they have a pretty good matchup. I just want to double check. Yeah. It's so sorry. I kind of like Stroud. I remember looking at this game because I took Tank Dell off of off the IR. Yeah, Panthers off the IR and put him in my starting lineup over JSN. And that's the thing. See, JSN had a good week last week, and I'm putting him on the bench. He might have an okay. It's only Tuesday, but I'm not going to be like, okay, now it's going to be JSN time. I was saying it. JSN's going to pick up the pace, but I like Tank Dell's matchup just a little bit better than JSN going against the Browns. I like Baker this week. I like how he plays in primetime games, but I'm going to go with Stroud coming off the bye, Mikey, and I'm going to play him with Tank Dell coming back, going against Carolina. Carolina is not terrible on defense, but their offense is relatively terrible, and I think a couple short fields might be in order for Mr. CJ Stroud. And Brandon, you are 100% correct. I mentioned that earlier. Maybe you had just joined us, but yes, I said that exactly. Tyrod has been playing better and probably is better at this point than Daniel Jones. I don't know what happened, but I mean, Daniel Jones did this last year in the beginning of the year too. I mean, he was getting killed in the beginning of this season. Their offensive line was absolutely terrible, but he wasn't moving and he wasn't getting rid of the ball quick enough. And that's what Tyrod is doing. He's moving out of the pocket. He's rushing to get some yards, which I don't know why Vanilla Vic didn't just do that. He just stood there with his neck just got murdered, and it's his own fault, and it's the line's fault. But Tyrod is playing better, and at this point of this season, yes, 100%, he is better, and he's helping that team. They're not murdering on offense, but they're playing pretty darn well. So there's no other questions. We're sitting about 48 minutes. That's just about right. I really wish that I would have been able to play this because I like this music in the background. It just gets a little distracting. But I figure when we cool it on out and we say, let's head into week 8 with a little something. This is what I'm talking about. So I hope that you all have a successful waiver wire period. Take my advice, but do you. Do what your gut tells you to do. If there's somebody out there on the waiver wire, don't just look at last week unless there's somebody that maybe they just finally got into it, which there's not really too many. But if you look at guys like Josh Downs, he's been doing it for weeks, and we've been talking about him for weeks. We gave you his name over the summer as somebody that you should be looking at. So I hope that you do well tonight, whether you stand pat and keep your eyes on your team, or if you decide to just wait and get the guys you like. So his gut tells me Palmer and Wyatt. Yeah, sure. Josh Jacobs, I don't know what's going on with him. This music, it's just so distracting. I get so into it, I can't even think. But Mikey thinks it's funny. I think he's going to start. I hope he starts. Last I knew, Tannehill was on crutches. So I hope he does. I would probably keep rolling with Ritter. He's been having some pretty good weeks. I want to see Willis do it once. Let me just look at the matchups. Again, these questions we've been saying for seasons. Oh, they're playing each other. Yeah, I'd go with Ritter. I'd go with Ritter on the road. You could pass all over Tennessee. The Falcon defense has been better than most people give them credit for. And it is a little bit like elevator music. I don't know. I just feel it distracts the heck out of me, but I just wanted to play with it. I got to get rid of it. Got to pause it. We'll bring it out this way. Yeah. So I would not start him over Ritter. I would just play Ritter this week. So we'll close it out with that. It's like doing a podcast in an elevator. Thank you all for joining us. It is getting late. Oh, Brandon, I love you tonight, asking so many questions. Would you waiver on Malik Willis? What's your budget? Well, Willis is ahead of Levis. So if you're holding on, is Levis like on your taxi squad or something? 2 QB starts. Who are your other quarterbacks? $92 left. Listen, I got a feeling that nobody is really going after him. I don't think anybody's going after Malik Willis. I put $2 on him. If your other 2 quarterbacks are good, If somebody wanted Malik Willis, they would have bid on him last week because they could have got him for $1 last week. Nobody's going after Malik Willis. I don't think so. No, nobody is talking about Malik Willis. Nobody is suggesting Malik Willis. I opened up the show with a picture of Malik Willis. I think he's a lot better than he showed last season. He did well in the preseason. He was okay, but not that good when he had to come in last game. I think that was in London, wasn't it? Not mistaken. But whenever he had to come in week 6, he had the bye week to get prepped. And I just think he'll be pretty good. And if it's not this week, I hope that they give him at least another one. So you want him on your team? I think you can get him for $2. Put you at an even 90 left over. There's no buys this week, Brandon. So nobody's really chasing quarterbacks. $2. I put $2 because somebody out there might be bidding 1 because they could have had him for 1 last week. $2. If you don't get him, you don't get him. $2. That's what I do. You're welcome, Craig. ABGFF, ABG3P. Just in case you forgot, this was Answers by Guest, Season 7, Week 7. Answers with guests, halftime adjustments. Thank you all for joining us. We had 12 people watching. Somehow this dude on TikTok that is weeks behind us has 300,000. But I love you all, and I hope you join us on Friday. Have a great